Welcome back to Nathan's Sports Talk. I'm Nathan, and I'm talking sports episode number 5. We're officially 5 episodes into the podcast, so I appreciate you guys checking it out. As always, before we do hop into it, make sure you guys are following, liking, whatever platform you're watching this on or listening to it on. Please go ahead and make sure you're following the Journey Nathan Sports Talk. We upload weekly podcast episodes every Thursday here, so make sure you're not missing out. And without further ado, we got a great conversation for you today. We're going to start with the NBA playoffs, which have continued on now into the conference finals. So, like I always say, I record this on Wednesday, Wednesday mornings, pretty much. So, what we know is up to this point, the Thunder take game 1 against the Timberwolves, and then the Pacers and Knicks currently do play tonight. Again, that game will be over, and we'll already kind of know who won the first game by the time this episode comes out. So let me talk about my predictions. I guess we'll talk about a little bit of the past round. So Thunder Nuggets go 7 games. However, game 7 is sort of a blowout. Although it was a very competitive first half, the Thunder just kind of run away with it. This has been their MO. They're a very good second half team. Their depth is able to just outplay a lot of benches, and guys like Shet, they kind of just get going later on in the game. So, Shea's just going all the time. Shea is absolutely incredible. He is probably a top 5 player on this earth right now, you could argue. He's going to win the MVP this year, but, you're still taking guys maybe like Jokic over them, maybe LeBron, maybe Steph. Maybe not. Maybe Shea is kind of ascending past that level right now, especially if you can go on a run right here in the playoffs right here, potentially win it all. We have some real conversation about where he ranks in the NBA. But anyways, talking about last round against Jokic and the Nuggets, they just really wore them down. They were able to win in Game 7 at home in what was a great first half and a horrible second half. The Nuggets have nothing to hang their hat on. They fire their coach right before the playoffs. They end up winning a series in 7 against the Clippers, and they take the Thunder to 7, which that could potentially be the NBA champions. So the Nuggets have played absolutely fantastic all year. There's nothing to hang their heads on right here. Just the Thunder are one of the best teams we've seen in a long time in the NBA regular season wise. 68-14, very very good team. Shea's incredible, Chet's incredible, Williams are incredible. Caruso is just great as well. There's so much. Harvenstein, however you pronounce his name, center right there. He's also incredible. Their starting 5 has played, I believe, every single game together in the playoffs to start out. And same with the Timberwolves, where both their starting 5s are completely healthy, and they completely outmatched the Timberwolves last night. And I'll make my predictions in a minute right here, but the Thunder are rolling on all cylinders right now, and it's going to be really hard to stop them. And then talk about the other series, the Timberwolves and the Warriors. So I believe it was 1-0 Warriors whenever this series. We didn't know the extent of Steph Curry's injury. I think it came out later that day that he wasn't going to be available till Game 6 at the bare minimum. Didn't even get to that. The Timberwolves were a better team than the Warriors. I did think the Warriors were going to win this series in 6 or 7 before Curry got hurt, just because I thought that, late playoff experience, it matters when you get to these stages, especially the length of the season. If you're kind of battle tested with that, it does matter a little bit. And I thought that was going to factor in. I thought the Warriors were going to take this series in a 6 or 7 game series, which was not the case. The Timberwolves end up winning in 5 after Game 1 loss, which they lost Game 1 against the Thunder. So we'll see if that's kind of the same, foreshadowing what could potentially happen right here. However, they completely outmatched the Warriors on every single aspect, where their defense showed up whenever it mattered. They were able to, again, go on these 10-point runs in which you were like, okay, this team can lock in. They can kind of create some separation right here. And although they were unable to do that against the Thunder last night, it gives you a promise they can still win 4 out of the next 6 games. So they completely outmatched the Warriors. Again, the Warriors were not really a great team without Curry, but they still had players in there. Draymond Green, Podziemski, who got going towards the back half of the series, Kuminga, Moody. There was enough players on that team to where you still need to play good basketball and able to beat them 4 consecutive games. It's not like you dropped the game. You beat them 4 consecutive games, because I was saying if the Timberwolves were able, if they lost game 5, the series could have been like, okay, now if Curry's back Game 6 and they take Game 6 and you're winner go home Game 7, it's a 50-50 game pretty much at that point. But they didn't let it get to that point. Great for them to put the foot down. I actually think, now I think about it, I believe it was 3-1 Timberwolves last time we were talking about this. I believe it was the previous episode, which it was 1-0 Warriors. So I believe, predict the Timberwolves to win it that game, kind of put that to rest, which is exactly what they did. The Timberwolves are, again, firing on all cylinders right now, looking very good. Although they do drop game one last night to OKC. We'll see if they're able to rebound right here. And it's going to be a pretty important game, too, because if you don't win game two, I think this series pretty much over, and the Thunder are going to take this because they are just too good to lose 4 out of the next 5 games. Looking on the East side, Pacers and Cavaliers. This was really just an outclassed masterpiece by the Pacers. Granted, there was a lot of injuries going on with the Cavs, but man, I mean, still, you had your players on there when it mattered, and the Pacers still just found a way to win. Game 3, predictable Cavs would need to take that game, and then the next two, which I really wasn't expecting the Pacers to win Game 5, but they do. They kind of shut the door. They don't even allow for a potential 3-1 comeback with the Cavaliers for, I guess, that'd be another 3-1 comeback. On the resume, just a completely different team, 9 years apart or whatever, but yeah, the Pacers look really good. I know a lot of people are doubting them against the Knicks, and we'll kind of see what happens right here. I'll give my predictions here in just a matter of moments, but the Pacers are a pretty good team, man. The Pacers are a pretty good team. Just fundamentally, they know how to play basketball, man. They know they really never get blown out. It feels like, besides that Cavs game, in which again that was a very predictable blowout, but a 20-point lead is not safe with the Pacers. They came back against the Bucks when they were down by 21, I want to say. Then I believe it was 20 against the Cavaliers. So they are able to come back, and they're the comeback kids. They're persistent. They just do not go away, and you can't take your foot off the gas pedal with them. But we can kind of say the same thing about the Knicks, who end up taking this series against Boston in 6. Again, last week, I believe I said the Celtics would probably win Game 5 because it was a must-win game back at the Garden or back at Boston. And then the Knicks, I figured, would go in and kind of just have their way against them in Madison Square Garden. But it kind of what exactly I said would transpire. However, it was a little bit more blowout than I thought. 119-81, a non-competitive game in which the Knicks are able to steamroll over the Celtics and march into the Eastern Conference Finals. Both these teams, and obviously the Jason Tatum injury is horrible. We're probably not going to see him next year. Super sad. We'll see what the Celtics do from here and what they move on from. But the Celtics really, I want to say, just got unlucky in this series. I don't think the Knicks are a better team than the Celtics. I think that's how sports go sometimes, is you get completely unlucky, whether it wasn't the shots falling, and then eventually the Jason Tatum just completely tearing his ACL, or not ACL, Achilles. It was pretty much just horrible luck for the Celtics. You feel terrible for them, although they didn't win an NBA championship last year, so how bad can you really feel? But the Celtics end up losing the series to the Knicks, in which the Knicks right now are the odds-on favorite to represent the East in the finals, which it would be electric if the Knicks went back to the conference, not the conference. Well, it's their first time in the conference finals in, 20 years or something like that. But if they went back to the NBA finals for the first time since, 95 maybe. So we'll kind of see right here. It should be an interesting series. I think the series could easily go 7 between the Knicks and the Pacers. We'll talk about that in just a second. But we'll bounce back over to the West, and we'll kind of discuss about the Thunder and the Timberwolves. So already up to this point, the Thunder do take Game 1 against the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves turned the ball over a lot. They looked a little sloppy. Granted, they hadn't played in, what would that be, 6 days up to that point. So it was a little bit of a layoff for the Timberwolves. Thunder coming off just a game previous against the Nuggets in which their starters were pretty much able to rest in the fourth quarter. Do I think the Timberwolves could win this series? I genuinely, dropping Game 1, probably not. It's going to be really tough to, again, win 4 out of the next 6 against this Thunder team, because the Thunder, again, like I said earlier, are rolling on all cylinders. Not that any of these teams aren't, but the Thunder just looks so good, man. I get it, they went 7 against the Nuggets, but there was probably 2 games they could have easily took in which it would have made that series 5. If the Thunder do not shoot themselves in the foot, because I don't trust the Timberwolves to take over a game and come back and win down the stretch, maybe like the Nuggets did with that Game 1 in Oklahoma City in the previous round. I don't trust the Timberwolves to do that against this Thunder team. I love Ant-Man. I love Julius Randle. I think they're both exceptional players. Rudy Gobert's really good. DiVincenzo just cannot buy a bucket from the field right now, and really their whole team yesterday could not buy a three-pointer. I want to say they're like 4 for 19 at one point from three-pointers in the second half. It was something crazy in which it was like, you're shooting that bad, you're never going to win a game. I mean, it was worse than the Celtics, and the previous games against the Knicks last series. But the Timberwolves, if maybe a guy like DiVincenzo can have a big game in which he drops like 25 with like 5 3-pointers and kind of gets his MO back. If Anthony Edwards, although he re-aggravated that ankle, he rolled it yesterday, didn't look great, but he still played on it. He'll probably be fine, I'm imagining, for the rest of the series. I mean, it's gonna linger. Everybody's hurt at this point, but to what extent is it going to hinder him that much? Maybe not, but we'll kind of wait and see right there throughout the rest of the series. But I mean, Julius Randle looked good last night, kind of cooled off in the second half. It's gonna be a very, very uphill battle right here for the Timberwolves. I don't think they can do it. I think the Thunder at this point probably take this series in 5. I just think they're so much more dominant. It's gonna be a gentleman's sweep. The depth there, I'm telling you, the depth of this Thunder team is there, in which, yeah, they are the odds-on favorite to win the NBA Finals. I don't see a world at this point where, unless something colossal happens, an injury, or just completely meltdowns and players just stop playing well, Thunder on a fast track to win their first NBA title, and I don't think it's really a question right now. I think they're far and away the best team remaining here in the NBA playoffs. But still, anything can happen. It's a 7-game series. We'll see Game 2, which transpires, I guess, the day you're watching this. I expect the Thunder to take that game too. I think the Timberwolves had a really good shot to steal Game 1, and then kind of just everything went to crap in the second half. So that's my thoughts on that series. Again, I don't want to discount Julius Randle and Edwards, Dante DiVincenzo, Rudy Gobert. That team is still fantastic, and they're making great strides right here to potentially make an NBA Finals run one year. But I don't think it's that year, and I'm gonna take the Thunder here probably in 5 at this point. I would have said Thunder in 6 yesterday, but we saw how that game went down. I think Thunder in 5 is probably a more realistic way. I expect them to drop one, probably Game 3 again, where it's a must-win game for the Timberwolves at home. I expect them maybe to drop that game, but outside of that, I don't see them losing. I don't see them losing, man. They're a really good team. Looking at the Eastern Conference Finals now between the Indiana Pacers and the New York Knicks, this is such a even match series in which I have no idea how to think about this. I love the Pacers. I thought they were the most underrated team coming into the playoffs. They obviously just roll over the Cavs pretty much. They roll over the Bucks. Can they do it against the Knicks? Can they put their foot down and make it to the NBA Finals for, I don't know, that it's a long time since they last made it to the Finals. It's been a while. Can they finally do it? We'll see. The Knicks, Jalen Brunson is an absolute dog. Karl-Anthony Towns, they got so much talent. Again, that team, they're clicking on all cylinders right now. I mean, they really just kind of had their way with the Celtics a lot of this series. Down the stretch, there's not a better team in basketball right now. I mean, the Pacers have 2 incredible comebacks, but the Knicks do as well. I think the Knicks are a better clutch team, and I think Jalen Brunson is the most clutch player in the playoffs remaining right now. I love Shea. Jalen Brunson in that fourth quarter with 5 minutes left is just a different player. He turns on and comes alive. So can that, buy the Knicks a pass to the NBA Finals, or do we see the Pacers go here? I think this game goes 7 series. I think the series goes 7 games. This series is going to be an instant classic. Obviously, an old school rivalry in which you get 2 of kind of the most historic. I mean, they haven't done a ton in the 21st century, but 2 of the most historic franchises in professional basketball with the Indiana Pacers and the New York Knicks going up against one another. 2 very, very rooted fan bases that really want this. Who wins this series? Again, history between these 2. Last year in the playoffs, the Pacers end up going into the Garden, knocking out the Knicks. This year will be the same. I think it is. I think it's in 7. I think the Pacers win this series because I think they. I don't know how I want to. I just think they're meant to be. I think Tyrese Halliburton is going to take over the series when it matters most. Not that Jalen Brunson can't. I think Tyrese is so underrated. I know he was overrated by his peers and all that crap. There's something with this Pacers team that's got good mojo. They were just happy to be there last year, and now they feel like they're super close. And if they get into the NBA Finals, they have a shot. Now, granted, I don't think any team is going to be the Thunder. I think the Thunder are the NBA champions, so I'm going to say right now, as of May 21st. But I think the Pacers sneak it out against the Knicks. Maybe they might not be a better team than the Knicks, but the better team doesn't always win. And, I mean, they weren't a better team than the Cavaliers. They beat them in five games, though. They know how to play basketball. I think the Pacers end up taking this series in 7, setting up a Thunder versus Indiana NBA Finals. Now, we could potentially see one of those teams with the Thunder in it next week, but I don't expect this series to be over by the time next Wednesday rolls around. We record the next episode, so we will kind of see right there. But yeah, NBA playoffs talk right there. Love talking the NBA playoffs. Really, really entertaining year. Hopefully this continues because I'm loving it. The NBA final or the NBA playoffs have been extraordinary. I mean right now, that Nuggets Clippers series, Rockets Warriors, Nuggets Thunder, even the Warriors in Minnesota was a really good series in which there really wasn't too much. I mean, there might have been one game which was kind of a blowout, but besides that, it was pretty neck and neck. And then Knicks and Celtics were a pretty good series. Cavaliers and Pacers again, pretty good series besides a couple blowout games, but I mean it's shaping up to be a really good playoffs and one of the best I can remember in recent memory. So we'll talk about the other sport now in which playoffs are going on to. That is the NHL right now, which had their first game won last night, in which the Panthers end up defeating the Carolina Hurricanes. Looking at last series, we have the Jets and the Stars. The Stars end up winning that series in 6 right there. That series might actually have been over by the time we filmed last week's episode. Edmonton ends up rolling over the Golden Knights 4-1 in that series. The Maple Leafs end up falling to the Panthers in 7 games, in which was an incredible series. But the Panthers just kind of underdogs, man. In that final game, they were just able to roll over the Toronto Maple Leafs. I believe it was 2-0 going into the third, and then they just kind of put the rain on. I mean, there was a point where it was, I want to say 3-1, and then I've seen the Panthers blow that series wide open, and then the Hurricanes end up taking take the Capitals in 5 games right there in that series. So that sets up 2 conference finals between the Stars and the Oilers, and then the Panthers and the Hurricanes. Again, game 1 already happening on the Eastern Conference side with the Carolina Panthers, or the Carolina Hurricanes, and then the Florida Panthers, in which Florida takes game 1. I think Florida is actually a team of destiny. They won the cup last year. They know how to do this. Carolina is incredible. Again, they rolled over the Capitals, who eventually can have one of the best years we've seen in a long time. That team had a lot of talent. They kind of just pushed them to the wayside and said, hey, listen, we get it. You're fun in the regular season, but our time is right now. The Panthers are kind of doing that with everybody in their path right now. I mean, they destroyed the Lightning in the Battle of Florida. They end up taking the series in 7 against the Maple Leafs, and now they take game 1 against the Hurricanes. I think this series goes 6, and I think the Panthers win it, going back to the NHL Stanley Cup Finals. I think that's how it goes. But again, I wouldn't be shocked if the Hurricanes can somehow muster something up right here. It's a really good team. I like that team a lot as well, but I think the Panthers, again, they have the experience. They know what they're doing. That team is deep. They made some trades to help booster their roster back in towards the trade deadline. I got the Panthers here winning this series in 6 against the Hurricanes. And looking at the Western Conference Finals right here between the Dallas Stars and the Edmonton Oilers. Oh man, this is also a very, very fun matchup, but I think it's time for Connor McDavid I think he's gonna make it to the NHL Finals, man. I think Connor McDavid is so much of a star, no pun intended against the Dallas Stars, but he is so freaking good, and people do not realize that if you do not watch hockey, that Connor McDavid is, they call him McJesus for a reason. He can fly around the ice and just make plays when it matters most. I think they take this series in 7. I think it's going to be a crazy great series. Game 1, of course, happening tonight. Again, this will be over by the time you see that. I expect Edmonton to take that game. We will kind of see. Their goaltending's been incredible. Their offense at times can maybe go a little quiet, but they can also turn it up real quick with McDavid and those guys up there. So I'm taking the Edmonton Oilers in the Stanley Cup Final, setting up a Stanley Cup matchup between the Edmonton Oilers and the Carolina Panthers, 2-3 seeds. But I can't wait for this series. If that does happen, it is going to be an incredible series in which you're getting the young buck Connor McDavid going up against this Panthers team, who is the defending champions. Storylines everywhere, and that series will be absolutely incredible. But as this moment, I'm taking Edmonton in 7, and I will take Florida in 6 right here for the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. All right, now we're going to switch over to the MLB. The MLB today, ESPN dropped a top 50 prospects ranking here in their midseason list. We'll kind of go over that, kind of some of the guys I truly believe are going to be stars in the league, and maybe some of the guys I just am not big fans of here in the top 50. We'll start out right here with who they have at number 1, which is Roman Anthony out of the Boston Red Sox. This kid is absolutely incredible. I think he's going to be a star in Boston for years to come. I really can't say enough about him. He has all the tools to be an incredible center fielder. It's just a matter of time until he gets called up right there. I mean, that young core the Red Sox are building between. I mean, they got the veterans still there with Devers, Bregman, all those guys, but you got Roman Anthony, Christian Campbell, Rafaela. There's a lot of guys on that team that are going to be good players for the foreseeable future for the Red Sox. And Roman Anthony being number 1 should be without a question. He is the best prospect in MLB, and he will probably be the best prospect until he gets called up and probably be a star pretty much when he takes the field. Bubba Chandler for the Pirates at number 2. I love this. I think Bubba is basically a watered-down Paul Skeens, in which he's still absolutely incredible. I don't know how he's not called up to this point. Maybe there's a certain day I don't know about in which they get an extra control or something, extra year of control if they don't call him up by that point. But he is killing it. 2021 draft out of high school. He is a dog who will be hopefully accompanying. I mean, I'm a Pirates fan. Listen, I'm a Pirates fan right here. I got the Penguin shirt. I guess it's not Pirates, but I got the Penguin shirt on today. I'm a Pirates fan. If Skeens gets traded, this kid is going to be the ace for the next 5 years. And should they trade Skeens? That's a conversation for another day. I don't think it's blasphemous to say that, but Bubba Chandler is. I mean, he's not far behind Skeens. He's going to be a very good pitcher in this league for a long time, and it's only a matter of time before he gets called up right here. So, Bubba Chandler for the Pittsburgh Pirates coming in at number 2. Leo DeVries, shortstop out of San Diego. Again, this kid is insane. I believe he had a cycle with 6 hits a couple weeks ago, or maybe a month ago at this point, but he's still a teenager. I believe he's 19 years old. I mean, man, this kid is a demon for the Padres and will be a demon for them whenever he does get called up. Sebastian Walcott, again, another guy I completely agree should be super high on this list. Love this guy. Like they say right here, he's a 40 home run guy in the MLB. Plays the shortstop position, plays good defense. I mean, he's a bigger type guy too. He's a great shortstop. Jesus Made for the Milwaukee Brewers. Again, a guy who might be the number 1 prospect by the end of the year if Roman Anthony gets called up, because this kid has shown immense talent in the minor league systems for the Brewers. So I think he continues right here and continues to fly up the boards until he's eventually called up for the Milwaukee Brewers, probably next year at some point, maybe the year after, but probably not this year. But still got to make his way up through the minor league system, but boy, is this kid special. Marcelo Mayer for the Red Sox, they have at number 6. Cool with that. Jordan Lawler for the Arizona Diamondbacks at number 7. I'm not a big fan of Jordan. Just not. He's had a shot at the big leagues and it just hasn't panned out. I don't know if it will. He's back down AAA, but he's good, but I just don't know if it's going to click. This might be the first guy on this list I'm like a little bit iffy on. Now, I think he can be an exceptional player, and hopefully this take isn't horrendous in 3 years from now, but not the biggest fan of Jordan Lawler. So 7 is a little high for me, but still has a lot of upside right there. Number 8's Max Clark. Loves kid. Great center fielder for the Tigers. Going to be a star in that system, in that franchise for years to come. And what they're building there is absolutely incredible. Detroit, and he's one of those young guys who are still not even called up, who's going to make a big impact whenever he eventually gets up there. Walker Jenkins for the Minnesota Twins. Sure, 9's probably fair for him. Again, a guy I'm sort of slowly rolling back with, like, okay, I don't know if this kid's going to be the truth, the franchise savior for the Minnesota Twins like he was talked about. I think he's going to be good. I just don't know how. I don't know if he's going to be great. Again, pumping the brakes a little bit on Walker Jenkins right here, but number 9, again, probably isn't horrendous because of the talent that he can have, the talent he does have, and I guess the ceiling net is on Walker Jenkins to where he can be one of the best center fielders and outfielders in Major League Baseball. Number 10 is Colt Emerson out of Seattle, shortstop. Love this kid. Got no problem with him being here at number 10. 11's Kevin McCongle out of Detroit. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know a ton about him, so I'm not going to talk on him too much, but sure he's good. Number 11 here, I'm sure he's pretty good. Number 12 is Chase Burns. Again, love Chase Burns. Again, sort of a watered down Paul Skeens in a way in which he was going to be a dominant pitcher and probably take over the number one in Cincinnati for years to come. I love Chase Burns. I think he's incredible. It's only a matter of time before he gets called up. Chase Burns is a very, very good prospect and one of the best starting pitching prospects we have right now in Major League Baseball. I think number two, easily behind Bubba Chandler. And really, I don't think there's too much of a difference between the two. I think you can kind of rank them similar, but Chase Burns being here number 12, again, I think it actually is a little bit low. I think he's more of a top 10 guy, but 12 to 10, it's all right. It's not that much of a difference. Samuel Basayo for the Orioles at number 13. Cool with this. I believe he's kind of getting a little bit slow here in AAA. I believe that's where he's at, but he's a good player. Just needs to kind of figure it out a little bit more. Dalton Rushing at 14. Love Dalton Rushing. I just don't know where he fits in that Dodgers team. He's probably best suited for finding a different home and them getting maybe a pitcher at the deadline. That could potentially be something that happens. Is that something where the Dodgers go after Paul Skeens and he's one of the big players in that trade? I don't think the Pirates are going to trade Skeens this year, but that's something to think about because I think he's going to get moved because he's so good and just kind of is blackballed right now from that. Not blackballed, but he's just kind of doesn't fit in at the correct spot right now that the Dodgers need for their team right now, but they have him at number 14, which again is kind of right where I'd probably have him around. Bizana for the Guardians here at number 15. Again, obviously the first overall pick last year. He's a good player. He's a good player. He kind of needs to continue to improve. Saw him play a couple weeks ago in minor league baseball, and he looked solid, so we'll see if he continues to improve. Aiden Miller for the Phillies at number 16. Again, I'm cool with this. I don't think it's a bad take. I think it is. I think he's going to be a pretty good everyday player for a long time in this league. He's got the tools. He's got the makeup for it. I like Aiden Miller at number 16. Jose De Paula for the Dodgers at number 17. He is a big bat guy in which he probably will be a DH for that team who's going to mash absolutely whenever he gets up to the major league level. Looking right here at the other list right here, we'll kind of go through these kind of rapid fire. Jack Caglione, again, I think he could be higher in this list. He's really, really good, guys. He's a dog. Connor Griffin for the Pirates, young, promising, great. Again, nothing more I could say besides that. I believe he's only 17 or 18 too, so it's going to be a couple years, but hopefully he's able to provide some offense for a putrid Pirates lineup. Jet Williams for the Mets. I've been hearing about Jet Williams for a while. We need to see something. We need to see him up at the major league level sooner than later, and hopefully he's able to provide good quality everyday play for that team. But I might be a little bit on the back burner with Jet Williams compared to a lot of other prospects. Zaire Hope for the Dodgers. Dodgers have so many prospects. He's so good as well. Love Zaire Hope. Bryce Rayner for the Tigers. Not too sure on this kid, but I'm sure he's solid. Andrew Painter for the Phillies. I like Andrew Painter a lot. Think he's going to be a really good player. We got Nick right here. Can't say his last name because it sounds too similar to a word I would get canceled for saying, but we got Nick right here, who I believe is up at the major league level now. So we'll see how he continues to play. I think he's a dog. I think he's a really good player, so I will continue to see if he can improve and become one of the staples in that Athletics lineup. Ethan Solis for the Padres. I'm not a big Solis guy. I get it, he's young. When's the hype going to die down with this kid? I mean, we need to pump the brakes a little bit. Can he be good? Absolutely. He can be fantastic in this league. I'm not the biggest believer in Ethan Solis. I'm gonna say 25 is a little too high for him. Chase Dollander for the Rockies. Love Chase Dollander. Need to get him out of Colorado. You're playing in a horrible ballpark for a pitcher and a horrible organization. So 26 right there. Carson Williams for the Tampa Bay Rays. Love Carson Williams right here. I think this might be actually a little bit too low for him, but he is going to be an absolutely incredible shortstop for that Tampa Bay Rays teams whenever he's an everyday player up there. Noah Schultz, left-handed pitcher for the White Sox. I like Schultz a lot. Got nothing wrong with him. Perfect ranking, I think, at 28. Probably the best left-handed prospect in Major League Baseball right now. The Moya out of Toronto. He mashes. Love this guy right here. If I'm thinking of the right guy, I believe I have a couple guys. I believe this is the guy that is tearing up the minor leagues. So um, Toronto, probably star in the making right there, who could potentially replace Bo Bichette one day, or maybe he moves to third and they sign, but whatever they do with Bo. But he is a very good player. Mussorgsky for the Milwaukee Brewers right here. I don't really have a problem with this. Pitching prospects to me, a lot of these guys probably are ranked correctly to where they should be. Cole Young for the Seattle Mariners. He's a good guy. We'll see. Not the biggest cool young guy, but I think he's going to be okay at the major league level. Weatherholt for the Cardinals. This kid's good. I like JJ Weatherholt a lot. Probably where he should be right now. He doesn't have a ton of stuff we can go off of right now, being so recently drafted. But Weatherholt is going to be a fairly good player for the Cardinals, probably for the next decade or so. For a team that needs to probably start looking more young right here, as their window is kind of closed on when they can compete. Kyle Teal, I love Kyle Teal. I probably have him in my top 25. I think he's a very good prospect. We'll see what he does. Obviously, coming over from the Red Sox in the Garrett Crochet trade was kind of one of the big pieces right there. I like Kyle Teal a lot. George Lombard at 34. Yeah, I mean, George Lombard's really, really good. I believe this kid a lot. He, I believe, started as center field, moved to shortstop now, so we'll see what he does, if he's going to stick there. It could be, I mean, he could work out in center or left for the Yankees whenever he does eventually get called up. But we'll see. Thomas White for the Miami Marlins. Cool with that. Really don't have a problem with him at 35. And then we'll kind of just run through these last guys right here. Bisterio for the Cubs. He's really good. He mashes. He can hit. I like him. He had a brief, like they did mention, he had a brief call up with the Cubs, but I believe he's back down in AAA right now. But he'll be a really good mash and catcher for the better part of a decade, I would bet. Manuel Rodriguez for the Twins. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know too much about this kid. Sure, we'll throw him at 37. Matt Shaw at third base for the Cubs. I believe he had a cup of coffee with the Cubs in the major leagues. Didn't particularly look fantastic, but still a lot of promise and upside right there. So, sure, I'm cool with him at 38. Luke Keeschel, second base, Minnesota Twins. Don't have a problem with that at 39. Angelo Ganayo for the Guardians. Not too sure on this kid. Again, I don't know too much about him, but 40 seems okay. Kobe Mayo at third base for the Orioles. Like this ranking a lot. I think he's a very hit or miss guy. If he can get great play out of him, he's going to be a star, but I think he could also have the potential to flop, in which we just haven't seen the consistency quite yet. Farmello for the Mariners, sure. Duno for the Reds, sure. Not too sure on those guys. Cade Horton for the Chicago Cubs. I like Cade Horton a lot. We'll see what he does. He's a good pitcher. He's a good right-hand pitcher right there for the Cubs coming up through that system. Bryce Eldridge for the Giants. Again, don't have a problem with him. Like this kid a lot. Brady House for the Nationals. Kind of the same thing as Bryce Eldridge. I like this kid a lot. I think he's going to be a good player in the MLB. Ramirez for the Marlins. I just don't trust anything in the Marlins organization, so I'm not going to hold my hat on that. We got Rhett Lauder for the Reds, and they got Chase Petty back-to-back. The Reds have a lot of young guys coming up between Chase Burns, Rhett Lauder, and Chase Petty. That rotation is going to be nasty, and you're going to have Hunter Green. That rotation, it's going to be young and nasty for a long time in the NL Central. And then Jonah Tong for the Mets, who I like Jonah Tong a lot. I think he got really disrespected on the MLB Pipelines list. I think he probably is maybe a little high at 50, but I like this kid. I think he's going to be good. Probably have him around like the 70 to 80 range right now. Still got to see it a little bit more, but Tong is potentially got a lot of upside right there. So there is some prospect talks. Again, there's a couple guys in there like Jordan Lawler. I'm kind of like starting to say like, okay, we've seen the song and dance. Ethan Salas, we've seen the song and dance, although Salas is a little bit younger. But again, a lot of these guys I think are going to be really good players at the MLB level. I don't have a problem with a lot of them. I'm sure some of them will fizzle out, but I'm sure some of them are going to be maybe some of the best players in Major League Baseball. Guys like Jesus Maude, Bubba Chandler is going to be a name you're going to hear about for a long time. Some really good players right here on this list. And that is currently their updated MLB prospect list. And then obviously Roman Anthony is an absolute dog, who they had ranked at number 1. Now let's move over to a little bit of football talk, in which with the NFL league meetings this year, they end up they're going to approve they might have actually already approved it at this point, but playing in the Olympics flag football, which without a doubt, in my opinion, this should happen. Now, you're going to have players who are going to opt out who don't want to play. We've already seen that with guys like AJ Brown, who basically said, hey, listen, I'm probably not going to play for Team USA. That's fine. You don't have to. I completely understand. It's a physical sport in which you're scared of, making a cut, and next thing you know, your knee pops and you're out for the year. Your ACL is gone. Your Achilles is gone. Something like that. That's obviously a fear that a lot of owners are going to have. However, there's going to be a lot of marketing, a lot of money that's going to be made from this, in which they're going to say, hey, listen, it's going to be good for the sport, whether it's going to grow the sport internationally, and we might see more, players overseas try to make their way into the NFL. You obviously have the NFL, whose big kind of initiative is expanding internationally. I mean, we see it this year with so many international games. They've expanded down to Brazil the last couple years. They're going over to Dublin for the first time. They're back in Germany. London, of course, they're going to be with. And it might be somewhere else. I believe they're in Madrid or something like that as well. But they're trying to expand the game globally. It's a great way where you put your best players on display. We're going to have guys probably like Patrick Mahomes or maybe a Jalen Hurts or someone like that. It's going to be Kyler Murray, something that people don't understand how good Kyler Murray. Like in a flag football setting, Kyler Murray is probably the perfect Lamar Jackson. You're gonna have one of these guys who are going to be absolutely incredible, who is going to be representing Team USA. This won't it'll probably interfere a little bit with training camp, but besides that, it's going to be okay. And a lot of these guys are going to be stars anyways, so training camp's going to help, but probably it'll be pretty much a substitute right here with the Olympic Games. Now, does it make sense for players to play? That's going to be the thing that comes up, and owners, I'm sure, are not like take everybody on a roster if they get hurt, whatever, because there are going to be players that get hurt, sadly. I mean, that's going to be the sad reality. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but you'd imagine there's going to be some, wear and tear that's going to happen if you're playing like 5 games in 8 days or something like that. So we'll see. I know for a long time the NHL and NBA did not want their players playing in Olympic Games. I mean, think about it. Like, there was a time until the 92 Dream Team in which you had, like, I don't want to say scrubs, but just not our best out there for USA for the international for the Olympics. And it was kind of like, imagine get like with Jordan out there. Imagine you get Patrick Ewing. Imagine you get Scottie Pippen. Imagine you get Larry Bird on this Dream Team, and like they absolutely run through and win gold in Barcelona. The NHL was kind of the same way, in which the NHL didn't allow their players, guys like we're not allowed to play and represent their countries. Now, maybe not as much for the America mattered that much for USA, but for Russia, for Canada, a lot of these guys want to represent their country. Like, imagine you don't have Sidney Crosby in Canada. Imagine you don't have Alexander Ovechkin in Russia. It's completely different. I'm so glad they're allowed to play in there, and hockey guys just are demons, so they don't care about getting hurt. But I honestly was thinking this wasn't going to get passed. I was thinking there was a world where it's like, okay, listen, we do not want again a guy maybe like Justin Jefferson popping a hamstring playing flag football, an exhibition game that to NFL standards really probably doesn't matter. However, it's going to grow the game, which I'm sure there is their initiative, and they see the value in that, in which there might be a player that goes down as sad as it is, and there probably will be some restrictions. I believe I heard something like 1 player per team per country, so like you might have Jalen Hurts from the Eagles, but you might have Jordan Mailata play for I believe he's from Australia, you might have him play for Australia. But then you're not gonna be able to have a Justin Jefferson and a Jordan Addison represent for Team USA for the Minnesota Vikings or something like that. So I'm sure there'll be restrictions and guidelines to what can and cannot be done. But I'm sure also a lot of these players, it is going to be a dream to win a gold medal for their country. So they're probably all for it, and it's probably gonna bring them in money as well. So it's kind of a win-win with the potential of risk. That's the way you got to think about it. It's a win-win with potential of risk. We'll see. Again, I think it did get passed and approved. I thought it was going up for today as of this day, but maybe it's already been done yesterday. I'm not exactly sure on the status of this in the league meetings, but from all intent and purposes, it seems to be that this is going to be approved, and this is going to be the reality in 3 years in the Summer Olympics, in what will be an absolutely incredible scene in Los Angeles. First one here in America. You got Lamar Jackson, Justin Jefferson. You got these guys running around, just run circles around Uganda or something like that. It's going to be hilarious. No disrespect to Uganda, but We get the assignment. The USA kind of gets what they're going to do right here, and they're going to kind of dominate the sport. So now let's shift over to probably the biggest feud that's going on right now in the sports media landscape. All right, so let's talk about this. This is a big feud that's going on. Maybe there'll be some more, tweets or whatever by the time this video comes out. But RG3 and Ryan Clark are going at it. Now this is all over Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. And first of all, I'm gonna give you my opinions on it. It was not. It was a common foul. It was a take foul. I don't think it was anything racist by Caitlin Clark. They're two competitors that they're at the moment, and they're arguing on the court. It happens. Competitors do it. I don't have a problem with it. However, I hate the fact that people are exploding over this, over what is a common foul, which, there's a history between the two, but that's how sports work. We saw, there's great rivalries, and this is going to be a rivalry in the WNBA for hopefully 5 to 10 years, which can really propel the sport. But kind of the main issue with it is you've seen a lot of sports media come out and basically say how people are, inflamed. There's people who are like, why would Caitlin Clark do this? Whenever last year all they complained about was Caitlin Clark getting hard fouled. There's a difference. There's a difference between Caitlin Clark, the way she was getting fouled last year, and what she did to Angel Reese. It was a take foul. It was not a aggressive, hard, flagrant foul, which I believe they called. You got people who are flipping out about this, and people who are basically saying that we can't, Angel Reese can't be babied into this. Like Angel Reese is. She's needs to check herself too. All this stuff, but I think first of all the main issue with this, and I'll come out and say it. It doesn't matter my race. I'm putting it out there. Caitlin Clark is a significantly better player than Angel Reese, and if you do not see that, you do not know how to watch basketball. Let's be honest. Caitlin Clark is the golden goose. Caitlin Clark is probably the best. She's a top 3 player in the WNBA right now. Caitlin Clark or Angel Reese, you can make an argument, is probably the 3rd best player on her team. Maybe even 4th. Like, she's a good player, but she's not Caitlin Clark's level. She's not like, her name is what propels her superstardom, but if she was quiet and didn't come out and, have a podcast and wear crazy stuff to the Met Gala, or, taunt Angel Reese or Caitlin Clark's face back in college, we probably wouldn't be hearing about Angel Reese on a daily basis, if I had to guess. Anyways, the premise of what happens is RG3 and Ryan Clark go off about it, so I'll kind of read you some of the quotes right here. But here's kind of the first thing. Griffin reacted to the video on X in which he believed Reese hated Clark, and that's why Chicago forward yelled to see. Okay, cool. I think they hate each other. I do think there's a feud between the two. Okay, so nothing wrong right there. Then Ryan Clark goes out and basically says how basically Griffin's wife and their home life is rebuttal to what's going on because Griffin is married to a white woman, which again does not matter. This does not matter in the situation. I don't care what Ryan Clark says. It doesn't matter who you're married to and the race of that person. But both of them are black, like I mentioned. Clark being 45, Griffin being 35. They were teammates back in 2014. And then RG3's both his wife's been white so far. It comes out and says that Clark on the pivot says the one thing we know about RG3 is he's not having conversations at home about what black women have to endure in this country, about what young black women and athletes like Angel Reese have to deal with on the opposite side of Caitlin Clark's rise and ascension into stardom. The reason Caitlin Clark has elevated Angel Reese as much as Angel Reese has elevated Angel Reese. Let's be honest. Angel Reese in that rivalry has made her a star. That's kind of the cold hard truth, whether it's back in college or now in the WNBA. But he comes out and basically says, and here's a continuation of what he's saying. He says, if you're RG3, when's the last time in the house they had a conversation about what she's dealing with? You haven't been able to do that because of both of your marriages. You've been married to a white woman, he added. You haven't had the opportunities to have conversations to educate on what they are feeling, what black women deal with, and what they're seeing, and they think of young Angel Reese. I don't really get what he's trying to say here. Angel Reese is enduring what most athletes endure, which is hate. Most athletes endure hate. Caitlin Clark endured it last year. Most white women can't relate to what Caitlin Clark dealt with going into a predominant African-American sport and basically being I mean, she was being targeted. She was getting hard fouls in which, it's kind of like, what's going on here? She was being targeted last year. Angel Reese is, I mean, she's at the board. She's battling for boards. She's going to get bumped here and there, and she's driving. She's going to get fouled. And there was one play last year in which we didn't bring it up. I believe it talks about later in this, but we didn't bring it up, in which I forget the player's name, excuse me, but they basically gave a chokehold to Angel Reese when she was going up for a layup. It was a black woman. No one talked about that. Caitlin Clark reaches in, has a take foul, which might be a little bit harder of a foul. Flagrant one seems aggressive to me, but we're blowing this up out of proportion. But really the premise is he brings in RJ3's wife to the issue. Then he posted a video talking about how he crossed the border right there. He says, Ryan Clark personally attacked me and my family over sports opinion is cowardly and spineless and weak. Ryan Clark personally attacked me and my family personally over sports opinion is a bad look for ESPN and for him as a man. I agree with RJ3. Correct is this. Now, I don't think it's a bad look for ESPN because ESPN, I think most people will understand what they do. ESPN is... They like pushing narratives and stuff like that, and I'm not going to say you can agree or disagree with them. I'm not agreeing and disagreeing with the narratives they push. They do as well, but that's what they do. That's what they do. For Ryan Clark, it's a horrible look. It is a horrible look, and I love Ryan Clark. Listen, Ryan Clark was a dog for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He literally, I remember watching him when I was growing up, and him just flying around, absolutely decapitating people on the field. He is one of the most underrated players and underappreciated players in Steelers history, I fully believe. I think he's a great analyst who does a great job. I think when it comes to this stuff, I think he needs to maybe pipe it down because while you can maybe understand what he's trying to say, it's inherently racist. And this is with everything, and I believe it's when we shouldn't talk about Caitlin Clark being white. We shouldn't talk about Angel Reese being black. We should talk about them being WNBA players and who's the better player. The better player is Caitlin Clark. And if you do not see that, again, you don't know basketball. I hate to break it to you. You do not know basketball. And again, I could be just speaking out of pocket to a lot of you guys, but that's my opinion. I don't see it as a white or black. There are plenty of black players in the NBA who are significantly better than white players in the NBA. I'm not saying Dante DiVincenzo is a better player than Anthony Edwards on his own team. That's blasphemous to say. Then there's a pattern. But when you're saying right now that Caitlin Clark's better than Angel Reese, you're not being racist. Whenever you're saying that last year was ridiculous what was going on, and then that this foul is equivalent to that, and we don't see people going up in arms about it, that's blasphemous. So, RG3 has his take on it. Ryan Clark responds to it, basically saying how he can't even speak on it because he's married to a white woman. And then he remarks, he stood on his ground saying that he's one of the worst teammates he had both on the field and on TV. Calls him out being a horrible, person on Monday Night Football, horrible analyst or whatever. Okay, so they're beefing right now. Nothing has come of it since. The Caitlin Clark thing, we'll kind of see how this transpires. I mean, again, it's a great rivalry. It's not about white or black. It's about two professional basketball players in which... Is there jealousy right there between Reese? Maybe. Is Caitlin Clark a better player? Yeah. We'll kind of see, but the entire situation is, you can think of whatever you want to think with it. I don't think about race when it comes to sports. I think about your play on the court, on the field, on the pitch, whatever sport we're playing. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, if you're pink, if you're blue. It doesn't matter to me. It's how good you are at your craft and how good you are at your sport. And I think Caitlin Clark is a significantly better player than Angel Reese. And it's not because she's white. It's because she's a better damn basketball player than Angel Reese. And that's the bottom line. And I don't think many people tend to disagree with me. If you disagree with me, you're not racist to think that you can have your own opinion. I think you say that because Caitlin Clark's white. I think you're saying that because you're either a big Angel Reese fan or you're an LSU fan or a Chicago Sky fan. Listen, there's no race in this. This is just straight up basketball. And the fact that we have people bringing in people's wives and how they can't comment on it, it's because everything's made about race now, which is sad. It's so sad. I wish we could just completely stop talking about race because I think Morgan Freeman said it best in an interview a long time ago. He said, the way to end racism is to quit talking about it. ESPN needs to stop talking about it. Ryan Clark needs to stop talking about what's his name? RJ3 needs to stop talking about it. And the thing is, everything gets blown out of proportion because, these shows basically go on and basically say how because somebody's white, somebody's black, they're getting these special treatments. You got people ruining blah 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 blah. The thing is that Caitlin Clark has more fans, and she's done more than WNBA than Angel Reese. I'm not saying Angel Reese hasn't done anything. I think Angel Reese is important to basketball, especially because of this rivalry she has with Caitlin Clark. But it's not about race. And whenever you got people attacking people's families because of the color of their skin or their wife, that's racist, Ryan Clark. That's racist. Don't say that. RG3 didn't say anything about your wife who is an African American. Instead, he basically said how, don't attack my family. It's ridiculous. It doesn't matter what color of skin my wife is. Guess what? He's got his sisters. If he has sisters, they're black. His daughters are mixed. He has people that he can talk to about this, Ryan Clark. He does. He's got friends who are everything. Keep it out of the mouth. Hopefully it all blows over. I don't think they're ever going to be like, buddy-buddy, but hopefully they're able to just kind of move past this. And we can kind of move past this because this is the only publicity the WNBA get. It should be about the play on the court. It shouldn't be about the color of someone's skin, whether it's Caitlin Clark or Angel Reese. So that's my opinion on it. Good episode of Nathan's Sports Talk today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's episode. I appreciate it as always. Make sure you guys are liking, following, subscribing, whatever you're on. Continue to show support. We continue to grow. Nathan's Sports Talk's episode 5 is in the books. See you next Thursday. Take care.